Many of you have heard recently about the story of Uwe and Hannelore Romeike. They are the German immigrant family that fled Germany in 2006 after being persecuted and threatened with fines and the permanent removal of their children for homeschooling. Since their time in the United States government has tried multiple times to deport them, even though their reason for being here is legitimate, and they came legally to the United States. A couple of weeks ago, the Biden administration again issued a deportation citation to the Romeike family, and they join me today with their attorney from HSLDA, Kevin Boden. This is an important story that needs to be shared far and wide. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. Before I jump into the interview this morning, I want to encourage you guys to participate with me in a poll that we are conducting over at Spotify. You guys, those of you who are listening to this on iTunes or on another platform, if you head over to Spotify, you'll see that they have really come up with a fantastic way to let the audience interact. And I'm going to ask your opinion about what's happening to the Romeike family. And we want to talk about this so that other people that go to Spotify can see that this is an issue that needs to be addressed by the American people. And so I hope you guys will join me over there. Go to Spotify and just check that out. We have been posting polls now for about the last week or so, just so we can get audience feedback and sort of gauge where you guys are at. So that's a great way for you guys to interact with us over at Spotify. I want to welcome Uwe and Hannelore Romeike to the show. Thank you guys for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, Heidi.
So you came to the United States over 15 years ago now. And I want to just give people a little bit of feedback. You know, people haven't heard from you on my show before. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what brought you to the United States in the first place.
Yes, so I'm Uwe Romeike. This is my wife, Hannelore, and we have 7 children, 5 of which were born in Germany. And 17 years ago, we actually started homeschooling our, at that time, 3 children. And we got into legal trouble within a few days, actually. That means that we had talks with the principal, the mayor, and then they sent the police to take our children to school one morning. So we were all shocked.
That's terrifying.
And the kids were actually crying, and it was terrible. Yes, so that was the first. One of the first hurdles, and we got a lot of support locally, so they did not do that again because people were then in front of our house protecting us and talking to the police, and so they did not send the police again. But then they started sending these fining notices for each child and each parent individually, so there was about 300 euros, which is about the same amount of dollars a day. It amounted all together to about $10,000 or more dollars over 2 years. And since we didn't pay these fines and couldn't have actually, we went to court, but they would not hear, they wouldn't hear our reasons why we homeschool. They wouldn't accept that for a reason. They wouldn't give us an exception, which the law actually would provide, but they did not. But rather than that, they also started talking about taking custody of our children away from us, so that we then, when the laws in Germany changed so that they could do that without court hearing, just show up any morning and take the children away from us, we decided we have to leave the country.
So this could have been like a permanent, right? They're talking about removing your children from your home permanently, right?
Yes, and putting them then eventually in foster homes. And we actually, my wife talked to families where that actually happened. She got to know that.
That is so. Does the German government give you a reason why they want your children in school? I'm just wondering if they ever say the quiet thing out loud. Did they say why you're not allowed to homeschool?
No, but you can. It's quite kind of obvious why they do it. They want to have they want to have control over the children.
Yep.
They actually have the view that children don't belong to the parents, to the family, but they belong to the community.
Oh, hey, that sounds like the Biden administration.
There you go.
Takes a village there, guys. Takes a village.
That's right.
All right, so then what happened?
Yes, so we got a phone call from an attorney from HSLDA, and he asked us if we would consider applying for political asylum in the United States with their help. And we gladly accepted that because we thought America stands for freedom. And that's an opportunity we did not want to miss. So that was in 2008. We came here in the fall or late summer in 2008 and applied for asylum. That went before an immigration court in early 2010. And we were initially granted asylum. And we're very happy and thankful for that. That joy lasted for about 30 days, and then the American government appealed. That appeal was upheld by the Board of Immigration Appeals and then the Sixth Circuit Court. That's about where it ended. It did not get a hearing at the Supreme Court.
And then in 2013, really after 5 years, right, of fighting legal battles, the government granted you what's called indefinite deferred action status, which allowed you guys to stay here, right, without fear of deportation. This was after What's amazing to me is that this is happening to families who are coming here for the right reasons, going through our legal process. You guys didn't come over here illegally. You came here legally. You've done everything that the government's asked you to do. And America, the land of the free, is basically harassing you. You've come here and you've been harassed. It seems like since you got here, and you've had to have a lot of people helping you. Hannelore, I'm curious, just from a mother's perspective, there are a lot of women that are listening to this, and we're watching, I saw a poll on Real Clear Politics the other day that said, I think it was 47% of Democrats now believe that free speech should only be allowed occasionally. Is this what you expected coming over here with your children?
No, we expected America to be a free country, the country of the free and dreams, and the future where you can just build a new future. And that's why we came here, hoping that our children will have a future here too. Yeah.
This isn't the American dream. This is the American nightmare. And you guys are, unfortunately, living it. Thank God that you're getting some help from the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. I'm really pleased today to have Kevin Boden on the show. I met Kevin last year, I guess, at the National Leaders Conference. He and his family working now full time for the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. Hey, Kevin, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, Heidi. Good to be here.
So bring us up to speed a little bit as to where this case is now, because the Romeikes they've built a life here, right? So they sold their home in Germany. They built a life here. They've been raising their families here. Mm-hmm. Their kids identify as American citizens because for many of them, this is the life that they've known. What happened recently to bring this case back to the forefront again?
Well, we wish we knew. At the end of the day, we wish we had a better answer. All they were told was during a routine ICE visit, rather than resetting that routine visit out, 8-12 months down the road, they were told, get your passports, come back in 4 weeks and start self-deportation. So where the order came from, where the changes, at what level, we simply don't know. What we do know is the Biden administration and executive agencies have the authority to let them stay, to continue to defer action, and even to grant asylum. And it appears that they simply have not done so, and actually reversed what the Obama administration had told them would be indefinite 10 years ago. So, this is a family, as Uwe mentioned, America to them stood for freedom.
Yeah.
And the question for us now, does America continue to stand for freedom today, or has something changed and it's no longer the land of the free?
Well, I mean, this sounds like the same Department of Justice that is calling parents domestic terrorists for attending school board meetings. I mean, we've got huge issues here in the United States. But I think people need to understand that deporting this family is going to fracture their family, right? Uwe, you guys have a child who's married now, right? They've married American citizens. Do you have grandchildren?
Yes, so the two oldest ones are married, and our oldest daughter just got a grandchild, or a child. It's our grandchild 2 weeks ago. So we are very happy about that. Everything went well, and we are now grandparents.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, Kevin, what can we do to help this family? Because I feel like every American citizen that hears this story should be outraged, especially in light of what's happening at our southern border. I told Hannelore the other day when I saw her in North Carolina, I said, listen, here's what you guys do. You fly out, you go to Mexico, you walk across the border, and then everything will be fine, right? They're not going to check your immigration status. They don't care if you're here illegally. It doesn't matter if you're a criminal. It doesn't matter if you're vaccinated, not vaccinated. The country's on its head right now, and I think most people in the United States see that this is an assault on freedom. What's happening at our southern border, these are not your tired, huddled masses, right? We're having a massive invasion on our southern border, and yet the Romeike family comes here legally. They've gone through the process. They've raised their family here. They are fleeing the persecution that is levied against people who want to homeschool in Germany. They've come for the right reasons. What can we do? Because it's easy to feel helpless, but we're not entirely helpless. What can we do to help this family?
Yeah, you're right, Heidi. We're not helpless. The Supreme Court has held that the right of parents to educate their children is, quote, beyond debate as an enduring American tradition. And here's a wonderful family from Germany that believes in that. And so if you're an American and you believe that this is, in fact, an enduring American tradition, then you ought to care about this case, whether you know this family or not, or whether you homeschool or not. It's not just a homeschool issue, it's a freedom issue.
Yes.
And what I would invite folks to do is go to our website, hslda.org/Romeike, Romeike. We publish updates regularly when we have them. We do have a petition going, which we're asking folks to sign to demonstrate that, across the country, families are standing with the Romeikes. There's also a bill that's been introduced. Representative Harshberger introduced a private bill to grant them status in the United States to stay. And we would ask folks to reach out to the representative to show support for that bill. And that's been sent to Jim Jordan's, the House Judiciary Committee, and they can request a report from ICE, which would act as an effective stay on any deportation action. And ICE would have to answer to the committee on what's going on with this case. So we would invite folks to reach out to that committee in his office to tell ICE to give them the report and to give this family a little bit of at least temporary reprieve.
What are we looking at in terms of a timeline? How quickly does this need to happen? Ultimately, you want people to go to hslda.org/Romeike, and I will link back to that in the show notes today. Because we want to get this to the Biden administration. We want this to go to Joe Biden's desk, because they actually, with the stroke of a pen, could fix this whole thing. But apparently that's not top of mind, as a KGP would say. That's not top of mind right now. How do we get this top of mind? What are we looking at in terms of a timeline?
Well, Uwe and Hannelore and others have meeting within less than 2 weeks with ICE. And to give a little bit of a gravity to the situation, there's a 2012 removal order, and ICE would have lawful authority to effect that order, take the family into custody, and literally process them for deportation. So, I don't want to say that that's what will happen in 2 weeks, but the reality is the gravity of the situation can be very, very serious. So we're wanting folks to immediately spread the word, reach out to the representative, sign the petition, and this is just a wonderful. If you knew Uwe and Hannelore and the 3 children that I met this past weekend, Heidi, what a delightful family. They have the character of the family that you'd want next door. And so we'd love for folks to support them, show that support in any way that they can.
Hannelore, how are your kids doing? I wonder, as I had the opportunity to meet your 3 of your kids, and they are just darling. I would imagine that this is scary for them as well. And this isn't the America that we present to the rest of the world. We tell the whole world, we are the land of the free. And this isn't freedom at all. But I'm curious to know how it's affecting your children?
Everybody copes different, and some they just push it in the background, But for some, just to have this insecure future standing in front of them, it's very hard. Right now Lydia is very sick. Her husband is sick. It just affects, I think, everybody. And we feel carried by all the prayers, and protected. But of course, thoughts are coming, and so I just ask the people, for prayers, that we are protected, our kids are protected, and can just endure. It's like a stretching of your faith for everybody, and we have been longer with the Lord. But if you have just, as a child, you don't have the experience behind you. And so it is stressful for everybody.
Uwe, if this were to go through, and I asked you this when I saw you guys last week, and I was just so surprised to hear, because we just don't think about it. But if this happens, if this nightmare becomes your reality and they force you to go back to Germany, where will you go? Do you have a home there? I mean, what does that look like for you?
Well, since we sold our home, left our places where we worked, we actually don't know where we would go. We would just land on some German airport, probably rent a hotel room, and then see what's next. We wouldn't know where to go. We wouldn't know where to work, where to start. So I don't know.
It's amazing.
We trust God that if that would be the case, that He would open the door. But so far, all we know is we are here, and we would like to stay here.
Yeah. Well, we'd like to have
because
you.
Because I of course built up my business here. My oldest sons have their businesses or work somewhere, so they all are settled here and feel like this is really our home.
Kevin, I'm curious to know, obviously, you work with HSLDA, and HSLDA has an interest in homeschool freedom internationally as well as the obvious places where we impact freedom in the United States. But I received a phone call just a couple of mornings ago from a family in Paris who are homeschooling, and the French government just denied their petition to homeschool their children. And they're also talking about leaving. It's really, this is an incredible time to be alive. What do you see is the future? Because I think we should take a lesson, shouldn't we, from what's happening in Europe and what's happening to these families. Where do you see the state of homeschooling internationally right now, particularly as it relates to Europe?
It's a real challenge. I mean, that's the reality. It's a real challenge. I see it from two angles. On the one hand, there's both real challenge, and on the other hand, there's great opportunity. So to speak to France, there's a French national homeschool organization there. They reported that in the 2022-2023 school year, 6,100 families were denied the right to educate their children at home. Wow. So if you can just imagine, as an American, asking the government for permission, Mother, may I teach my children? That's what they have to do, and they're being routinely denied. We're from HSLDA, we're working to support a case in particular to the French Supreme Court for a family who was denied. But they tried to push a homeschool registry in the United Kingdom where every home educating family would register. So there are spots of hope, but there's lots of spots of challenge. And so, it's a tough spot, and we are really, really blessed in this country. The freedom that we have is truly unparalleled. I think we are the light on the hill, and as someone told me from Brazil a couple weeks ago, if America doesn't stand for home educated freedom, then where will the world go? To whom will they look as the example? And so I'm hopeful that we will stand for this as Americans, and that we will spread this idea of freedom and parental rights around the world.
Amen. I think that's a good place to end this interview. It's so important for people to realize, you look at one family, but this is so much bigger than Uwe and Hannelore Romeike. This has the potential to impact homeschool freedom around the world. And we want to stand with you guys in prayer. Uwe and Hannelore, Kevin, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
For more information on this family, you can go to HeidiSt.John.com/podcast. Scroll down. I will link to the petition. We will also be putting it out on our social media platforms. You guys, it's not enough for us to pray. We want to do more than that. You know, the Bible teaches us we're not supposed to love just by our words, but also with our actions. And this is something that you can do to help. Please share this petition with everyone you know. Text it to people. We want to get this petition signed with as many signatures as we can to get it to the desk of Joe Biden. And we hope you guys will continue to pray for the Romeike family and for the will of God and for the work that HSLD is doing on their behalf. Thank you guys so much for listening. Get off the bench, get onto the battlefield. I'll see you right back here again at the intersection of faith and culture.